I was always what they call in Trinidad harden or own way. So in other words, you really couldn't tell me nothing. It would cost you something to try to tell me what to do. And that cost would be, I was good at making that cost so high that people would just let me do my thing. Like my Aunt Joan trying to get me to pick my hair to go to church. I was like, no. And she was like, well, don't you care? People are gonna look at you and think your hair is ugly. And I said, no, I don't care.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. We're here on the Cool Table in the cut with John Orpheus. For anyone who's listening to the show for the first time, we challenge our guests to finish a tub of ice cream before the end of the conversation. So that's what's going down right now. Tell everyone about the flavor you chose and what you think your chances are of getting it done.
Yo, okay. I chose, what up, beautiful people? How y'all doing? I'm John Orpheus. I'm on a sugar high because I've been eating ice cream. So y'all gonna get a lit Trini on your hands. Apology up front. I took mango coconut because I'm from Trinidad. I mean, come on. It's a lot. Plenty mango and plenty coconut where I grew up. So I thought you guys were playing a trick on me. So I was like, sorry, the second question was,
how do you think your chances are of getting it done?
Oh, getting it done? Yo, as a youth man, they used to say I was what you could call licorice. That means not the licorice that you would eat for candy, but that means that I would just like lick the plate. So I'm saying I'm giving me in the 90th percentile. Plus I'm competitive. Can I swear?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm competitive as fuck. I play ball at the University of Waterloo. Warriors, what up? Boom. And when I like for lose nothing, I watch Olympics. I'ma just watch. When I like for lose. So when
this is probably the closest. This is probably the closest Trinidad's gonna get to winning the medal. So you got to kind of hold them on your back.
Yo, don't do that. We had Atto Bolton. He won medals. He was racing behind Ben Johnson. He was always a steady third.
Yeah, that's facts. That's facts.
But he got medals. Come on, we had a few here and there.
Oh man, I love the Jamaican Trini battles. This first question I have for you, I almost didn't even notice this till I've done my research. So I'm happy that I get to ask this first.
Yeah.
You said in an interview some months ago that you were gonna call the album Saga Boy like the book was Saga Boy, but the album is Saga King. So what happened to make you change? Because you did say in the interview it was gonna be Saga Boy as well.
Yo, give my bones. Virtual bones right there. Yo, thank you for noticing that. And I feel, first of all, I want to shout out to Black men representing, Caribbean descent people representing, and having the shit tight. I appreciate that. So absolutely, it was Saga Boy almost right up. Actually, I changed it way too late. And what I realized was that I didn't want the album to live in the shadow of the book. And I also didn't want people to think that the album was a soundtrack to the book.
Okay.
Because the album is a creative endeavor in of its own. And I wanted them, they're one piece of art, but two different mediums. And I wanted each to have their place. And the album, as you heard it, the book is very real, authentic, just the realness of coming of age, going through difficult things. Like, dude, I went to 6 high schools, okay? 6 different cities.
Damn.
And finding your place. So the book is the journey of the boy, and the album is a celebration. I made it in the middle of 2020, and I was just like, look, the only way to answer the fragility of our time is to make stuff that makes us happy and joyful and celebrates. And so the book, as I like to say, is the description of the journey. The album is the party you throw at the end of that journey. Because when as men, we come into our power, there is a sense of sovereignty, a sense that we have control over ourselves now. We're not just like, yo, just popping off left, right, and center. We have a sense of sovereignty and control, or as I like to say, I'm young enough to have energy. I'm old enough to know what to do with it. and I felt like that's like my arrival of sovereignty, not over the world, but over myself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's why I changed the name.
Yeah, I kind of noticed that as a theme on the project. I have a couple of questions later about kind of finding that space for yourself. And I think it's kind of perfect because in the book, you get into that and like what that entails and what you went through doing that. And it's like, once you kind of go through that, you're in some sense a different version of yourself. And that's why I like how you describe the difference between the book and the album. Is like, the book is like, you know, I'm not that person from the book anymore on the album, but the stuff from the book helped make the person on the album. You had IG as a single, and IG is definitely not the one that I would have chosen. I was so interested to hear the project when I saw.
What would you have chosen? What would you have chosen first?
I have You Look Cute When You Smile and Olurun. Those would be my two. But Fella Awoke is also one of my favorite songs on the project. So talk about IG as a single, because everyone's going to hear this by the time this comes out. IG is not like a lot of the album. And when people hear the album, I'm sure they're going to have 3 or 4 songs they like more than IG. So what was the choice in making that the single?
Yeah. I feel like, I mean, it's always like that. I feel like when it's the first thing, you want to sort of get the widest audience and the most accessible piece. And we felt from that point of view, IG was that. Like, it's groovy, it's funky, it's singable, it's danceable. There are a few barriers to loving it, right? Whereas I feel like personally, like, and my favorite song changes every day, so I'm gonna just tell you today's favorite. But personally, Olurun, because of the way it came to me, is what I feel is for me. I always judge it like my way of moving through this at Adriel is, you know, most people are like, hey, what's hot? Let me do what's hot out there right now. Let's do something like that. My approach to art is, hey, what do I have to say? So rather than looking out, I look in. And my ultimate judge of how I've succeeded is, if I make a song, it should sound like me, and nobody else should be able to make that song. And to the degree that that's true, that's how successful I am. And that's how much I like a song. And to me, Olurun is uncoppable J.O. heat, right? And it's profound. It talks about ancestry and where we come from. Most of us in the diaspora descended from West African peoples. It has the drums, the epic drums and the epic voices of the women, like a Greek chorus, just
it's
speaking
powerful.
Like, yeah, it's powerful. And you know how that song come, and that vocal on it that I'm singing, that's the first time I sang the whole thing, and it's the only time I've sang the whole thing.
Jeez, that's crazy.
I was writing my novel Butterfly, which I'm in the 5th draft of, and Butterfly is about African gods reincarnated in America. because
Oh, wow.
I was thinking, you know, spirituality is so important, but as diaspora people, all our spirituality starts with Western focused religion. So who were we before? And which connects back to the West African. And so when I started thinking about the Orishas, I was like, yo, we need a modern mythology of the Orishas living today so that we can connect back to, plug back into the source. And I was writing every morning. I liked it. First thing I get up, 6 a.m., I'll be writing. It's when I'm sharpest, it's when I feel like I'm on my own plane. And I'd just be listening to what we call Shango Baptist. If you're from a particular part of Trinidad that I'm from, there's a type of Baptist called Shango Baptist. Now, all throughout the diaspora, you might have noticed that they mix African religion with Catholicism, like Santeria in Brazil or Candomblé in Cuba or in Haiti. And so there's these mixtures of Catholic iconography with African religion. So where I come from, it's a mixture of Shango, who's the African god of the Orisha of thunder and lightning, and Baptist, like it's literally a fusion. And I was listening to Shango hymns because I'm from where the Shango Baptists come from. And that song just came to me one night. It was my birthday, actually. And I looked out the night of my birthday. I woke up in the middle of the night, 1 in the morning. I looked out and the sky was pitch black and the lightning was just forking down and kissing the ground. And it was like, it was scary. Like it was like you could smell the sulfur from the crackling. And I was like, okay. And I woke up, I went back to bed. I woke up in the morning to write and I was singing that song. Yeah, I feel it. The hand that shakes the water. Right. And it just came over me and I just kept singing it and kept singing it. And the first time I actually put it all together was when I was doing the demo for the song. And I didn't even know what it was. I was just like, man, you have to put this down because this is like a visitation from the gods. And so I laid down a simple beat and I started banging it and I sang it over the top. And when we took it to the studio, Mike, my producer, goddamn it, Michael, he was just like, yeah, we're just gonna use this take.
Crazy.
And so I never sang it again. To this day, I have only sang the full thing once.
It feels like it flowed through you. That's the vibe I got when I heard it. And it was actually the first song that made me think of the book, because again, that change between Saga Boy and Saga King, it's like these two things gotta stand on their own, even though they're connected. Like Olurun was the first song where I definitely thought of like the book and your journey and all of that. So, you know, your explanation of it kind of fits into what I felt when I heard it the first time. So for all the people who are going to get to hear this, you know, in the next week or so, like, I think it really will connect like that. And that'd be my pick. If I had to choose one song, I think it's going to be the biggest song from this project. That would be my choice for sure, without a doubt.
Yeah, that's my feeling too. I feel like Olurun is so immediate and so profound and so unique to me. Like I have great thoughts about visuals and how to do that. And in fact, we're playing August 21st at Mix TO Fest, and I'm gonna play it, so I'm gonna have to sing it again. And we've been working through how do you bring this thing to life, and it's quite a mission, but it really is the most difficult song to imagine in that context. But that's why I like making music, man. That's why I love creating. I feel like there's a point where you are not making it, but it is making you. There's a point where you are not like the originator, the origin point. You're just the door.
You're just a vessel. Yeah.
Yeah. You're the door that opens and then it comes through and you say thank you. Like in the old, and this is a common tradition in the old mythologies, the epic poems in English literature, the first thing you start with is you invoke the muses. So you invoke the goddesses of inspiration. and you say, like the Iliad, for example, this book about the Trojan horse and conquering Troy and the Greeks and them, it starts, sing, O muses, of the story of Achilles and Achilles' rage. And so it says, you sing, goddesses, and I'm gonna just write it down, And I feel like that's how real creativity is for me anyway.
Yeah, I heard a quote talking about creativity is looking for a break in your life. And whatever you're doing while you're being creative, you're not living life the same way. And I feel like that's really how kind of strong it can be. It's like while you're in that creative zone, whatever's happening in life is basically put on pause.
Oh yeah. Everything I'm good at. Back in the day, I was a ball player. I was a dope point guard. D anybody up back in the day. And then playing instruments, playing bass, playing guitar, writing. What I realized is I did all of those things because my life was out of control. Like if you read the memoir, it's like, yo, my life was like a movie. Like it's actually, we're talking to some people about making it a movie now. So my life's like literally is like this movie, so much is happening. But the only things I could rely on was, the bass has has 4 strings. The basketball, the ball's always round. The ground's always flat, depending on the court. The rim's always 10 feet. And so there was a consistency about it that allowed me to build rituals around doing those things. And to this day, when I write, when I play music or basketball, I don't play ball that often anymore, but the way I breathe changes. I start breathing really deeply and really evenly. And what I realized was the reason I loved doing those things and got good at them wasn't because I really wanted, in my head, I really want to be good. But what I was chasing was the feeling of calm and being at one with your breath and your body and your mind. And that's what happens when you do those things. But really, I'm doing it thinking, oh, I'm gonna get good. I want to ball, girls will like me. And actually what I'm doing is I'm meditating.
Yeah, it's that there's a quote in The Power of Now where he says, find the stillness. And I've noticed that way more, especially with the pandemic, when you don't get to do some of these things as much, that you're like, yeah, I needed that. I needed that bad. So 100% feel you on that one. You said this thing about making the album in 6 weeks during last summer. Was that something you usually would do in terms of making it all at once in 6 weeks, or was that kind of new for you?
No, we wouldn't do it like that. We would take time. I took 2.5 years to make a record once with my band back in 2008. So I'm used to a slow process. You take your time, you pre-production, you vision it out, you make versions, you mix it down, you add things, you take away, like there's a process, right? A gestation, but and I have a lot of patience for that. Like I kind of think of it, I have a mango philosophy where I'm like, yo, if mango season in July and it's February, no amount of wanting to eat mango is gonna make the mango ripe. They have to wait. Water the tree, trim the lawn, wait for the mango season to come. So, but with this, I was kind of like, yo, it's kind of a rule of performance where if something is new, slow it down. If something is really like familiar skill-wise, speed it up and trust your instincts. And for 5 years, I mean, this is 50 songs we've put out since 2015. So, and we, the quality we put out, it's not like we're just putting out freestyles, like we're really going in. So, and it's the same team down to because when we started, that was our vision. Our vision was, look, how do we define my voice? How do I get a voice that's just mine? Like I was saying earlier. And we're like, well, look, the only way to do it is reps. If you were an athlete, you'd go to the gym and you'd shoot, 200 jumpers from every position a day. And so we were like, okay, let's get reps. So we're going to write, record, release, tour, make a video, do publicity, and then we're going to just do it again. And we're going to just do it again. And we're going to do it again. And that's why we made so much music. And after a while, it's like, we didn't really need to think about it because we'd evolved this shorthand where we could just look at each other, or even without communicating, we could think, yeah, Mike's going to say this. Yeah, like, this is what's going to happen. This is how that's going to work, because you've built this body of work. And because of that, it was in our interest to not overthink it, because the only way we could screw up the muscles we'd built, that fast twitch fiber. I don't know why I'm on the athlete metaphors today, must be the Olympics, but, and once you've built that up, then you move fast, you move quick, because then you trust your instinct, and your subconscious takes over, and your muscle memory takes over, and you can spontaneously achieve miracles, as opposed to breaking it down and thinking it through, which is what we did for the last 5 years. So yeah, that's why we did it so quickly. And it wasn't even, to be honest, the real timeline was, I rolled out of bed and I was like, damn, son. Here's what triggered it. This is the inside. Nobody knows this story. I'll tell it to you real. I didn't even know if I was going to make another record. Because for me, I was always like, look, don't be that middle-aged dude trying to make it in music, right? Nobody wants to be that dude. You're better than that. And then I was kind of like, so I was just like, look, as long as you only make a record if you have something to say. If you don't feel you have something to say, shut up and let somebody else who has something to say it. And, which again is counter to the culture of grind, put out, don't stop your content. I hate that. Don't call people's art and people's labor and their passion content.
Nasty. Don't do that.
I hate that. Is the most disgusting grind culture, like, sickening word for creativity. I'm like, but you know what they say? Don't stop. If you stop, the algorithm doesn't like you anymore. And I'm like, bun Babylon under blood clot algorithm. And now worship, now pray to no algorithm God.
Exactly.
And then what changed it for me was, we had a meeting with Penguin Random House about the memoir, and they're the biggest publisher in the world, dog. So they got departments just for cover. They have meetings on the cover where they just have a committee and they just discuss the cover and the process. My favorite thing to do was to count people whose names showed up in emails that were working on the book. I got up to 48.
Oh my days.
And it might just be, they need to do one little thing, or it might be my editor who I talk to almost every day in the thick of it. But that's how many people involved. And so I had a meeting and there was head of marketing, head of publicists, everybody was there, and they were just talking about what the campaign's going to be and blah, blah, blah. And, I've been an independent musician for a long time, so I can do the math of what things cost really quickly. And I was like, they're about to spend tens of thousands of dollars to promote me. And when I woke up the next morning, I said, you know what? You might not feel like you have anything to say, but you need to make an album for the sake of that dude who you were, who showed up day in, day out, who gave up grad school, film school, law school, countless girlfriends, 4 very lucrative corporate jobs, just so you can do this shit. I'm like, I don't care how you feel. You need to honor that dude. Get your ass creating.
Facts. Facts. Just for him, you had to.
Mm-hmm. And little did I know, what came out was, and maybe that's his joke on me, is that I needed to, and I didn't know I needed to. And when we started making the record, it all came out. So really, I said, so it's 6 weeks from me going, let's make the record, to us going, okay, we have all the songs, we got a lot of post-production, but the album's done. There it is.
That's fast.
So
That's fast.
actual time working on the record was, I demoed songs for a week, and we were in studio for like 10 days, 10, 12-hour days, in a back-to-back in September. And that was pretty much it. A lot of post-production after. We added percussion. We got, because of the pandemic, we couldn't get the singers I wanted in the studio. So I just called, Mike and I just called our friends who lived in places like Texas, Calgary, LA, and we just got them, they're pro singers, so we just got them to do their part, and everyone came together. We had like the group chats, and everyone was just so honored to be working with me. It really opened my eyes. I was just like, yo, y'all are all dope artists in your own right who I look up to. And they were all just eager. They were like, we don't want money. We're just honored to be working with you on this, because it's
That's what's up.
And I was just like, yo, I was humbled, but that's how the record came to be, from just a psychological process.
That's crazy. I'm happy that you had that realization, because I feel like you got a lot of slaps on here. I'm very excited for everyone to hear the project. I want to shout out one line on a song that I like a lot. I'm going to talk about a different song, but you have a line on Damn where you said, my name is so black. And then you repeat it over and over. And when you first said it, I was like, did he really just say that? And then when you repeat it, I was like, yeah. So yeah. I love that part a lot. And then you said as well in the interview, this is the most authentic you've ever been on a record. So is there a song on here you feel like demonstrates that? Like, if you wanted to kind of highlight how authentic you are on this record compared to the past, what song would you like send someone to listen to that, shows that?
I mean, wow. I mean, first of all, you're right on top of all my favorite moments on the album. I did that and left it on the day one, and we came back in, and I was gonna finish lyrics. And Mike was like, "Oh, you're gonna finish that?" I'm like, "No, that's finished. That statement, we're just gonna leave it deserves punctuation. Like, it deserves a space that lets it sink in." And then when he looped it like that, it's like every time it comes back, it's like black, 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 black.
It's hype.
And it's like, yeah. Every time you hear it, it's like, yeah. What do I mean, really, to me, it's about the how. And I feel like in everything, what you're hearing is me being super, super comfortable, super confident, super happy in my skin. So for me, they're all telling you that, yo, this dude, whatever you take it or leave it, this dude is who he wants to be. And, in terms of songs, I would be like, I feel like Olurun is really real to me. You Look Cute When You Smile, I feel, is really is one of the emotional souls of the record, if you ask me.
But I would agree with that. And I would say that You Look Cute When You Smile would be the one that I would say, because I feel like the way that you're rapping and singing on that is such a flex of comfortability that it's, I don't know if everyone would notice that right away, but that's how I took it. It's like, to even pull that song off is like, yeah, I can really do this however I want to do it, So that's one that I think of a lot in that sense. But you're right. It's kind of just a vibe over the whole project of, I'm comfortable in my skin. I'm comfortable being who I am.
And that's what comes with when you spend 2 years reflecting on everything that happened in your life and trying to write eloquently about it. You're like, whoa, you can't tell me about me. I know about me. Like, it's done.
Yo, literally. Like, And it's crazy because I can just sense that in your music a lot, that I'm just like, I'm just happy for you, even though I don't know you like that. I'm happy for you, just for you to be at that place where you feel like that, because my next question is going to kind of allude to that. Sometimes you don't even know you're not there when you're not there, and you're
Yeah.
living life how you're living it, and you don't even know that. You don't feel comfortable. You don't even realize that.
Yeah.
So talk about when you finally, like, started feeling comfortable in yourself in a whole different way, and you were like, I wasn't comfortable the whole time. Like, what? Like,
Yeah.
that realization. What was that like when you finally realized that?
Man, it's an ongoing process, right? But I feel like there's so many moments in the last 5 years where it's like you didn't even know you were carrying a weight until you put it down. So you're like, and I hit what triggered the book, which the book came out of, first of all, I made a lot of different types of music. I made blues music, soul music, rock music, punk music, Britpop. Like, I was on tour with dudes from Oasis, like rock and roll legends, like 150 million records sold. I was on tour with those guys, and which was dope, because I was always like, look, you can't tell me how to be me. You can't tell me how to be Black, especially. Like, people would be like, you can't play rock music, you're Black. And I'd be like, wait, hold on. Didn't Black people invent rock music? Didn't Little Richard and Ike Turner and, didn't they invent rock music? And it was like this weird thing. And so I took it as a point of pride that I did that. But then I got to a point where I realized I had never made music for Black people. I'd never made music that was where the culture of Black people was at today. And I'd flirted with it. I knew all the music. I grew up with it. I banged the music. Like, I'd be banging dance hall in the van on the way to play the punk rock show. Like, we was about that. But suddenly 5 years ago, I decided, look, that's when we decided to do the mixtapes and do it over and over again. It was like, look, I want a voice that's mine. And that means I need to reclaim my sense of Blackness and my sense of being in my own skin, which actually meant I need to put down the burden of all the legacies that, though I didn't think of them consciously, were weighing me down. Yeah. So fast forward to when the book started, I just felt like, yo, I had a job on Bay Street. I was making dollars. I didn't need to ever stop. It was a stable, lucrative gravy train. I had to work for it and put up with being around people I didn't like, but most people would say I was doing better than most. And I had my legit underground infamy where I was like, yo, I can bubble like this I realized I could bubble like that forever and not change anything. And I'd go in and I'd die happy. And what changed for me was I realized that wasn't enough. I realized that something was missing. I had a sense of the weight, and maybe I didn't know the weight was there, but you know how they identify how many moons are around the planet is they measure the gravitational pull, and they can see. So even though they can't see it, they know it's there because it's holding gravity, it's holding weight. And that's what it was. I didn't know what was holding me down, but I knew there was something there. And I always describe it like I was trying on future, like I was trying to plan the future. And I was like, yo, I was trying it on like jackets that would never fit. They look good, you put them on, man, this is too tight, or this is too loose, or this is too this. And eventually I hit upon a very transformative idea, which was, until you make peace with your past, you cannot fully live your future. And that's what started me writing the book. And every word, not even a word, I spent 250 hours researching, interviewing people from my life, from people that knew me when I was just a bump in my mama's belly to people who I just met. I interviewed 250 hours, mostly my family, but everybody that was important and would still talk to me. And every single one of it was like tears and laughter, was belly splitting laughter and just like, wow.
Yeah.
That's so sad. And every single one was like putting down a weight. And then you gotta like think about it and write. And I would tell my agent, I said, Chris, every 20 minutes I write, I need 40 to just process what I just wrote.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah. Like I was writing a novel and I was like, you know what? I got to create a whole universe for this novel. Let me write something easier because I won't need to make it up because it already, and it was like it was easier in term technically, but emotionally it was not easier.
Heavy. Yeah, you had two good lines there. You talking about, you know, carrying the weight you didn't even know was there. Like that one is huge. And especially I feel like people coming from Caribbean households, like it's like a built-in weight that you didn't even know was there.
Nobody even tells you about it. They just chuck it on you.
You're there walking around with a heavy backpack on. You don't even understand why you can't stand up straight. And it's crazy. It's crazy you said that because I just did a doc with CBC about my dad's relationship. My dad's a pastor. And in the doc, there's a part where I talk about him wanting me to be a pastor and how I didn't want to do that. And when they cut to him, he says, I never wanted you to be a pastor. You could do whatever you wanted. I said, you didn't tell me that. And it's like that. It's like that's the burden you don't even know is there until you put it down. So I think that's a huge gem right there. Now I have some trivia for you about your own album.
Okay, boom.
There's a line on Carnival that made me pause it as soon as I heard this line, and I paused it and did a what? And can you guess which line it is in Carnival that made me pause it and do one of those? I can see you playing it in your head a little bit.
Yeah. No, I can't, man. I don't know.
When you
what
said,
is it? Tell me.
I'm dancing, prancing in my mesh shirt and my Trini flag.
Yeah. Okay. That was actually at the top of my mind. So that's good. Yeah. Why did that make you pause?
Because the song is called Carnival, and that was just the imagery right there that made me say, yeah, this is really going down right now. And obviously when people hear the song, like it definitely is Carnival, Caravana, Soca or Die, definitely those vibes. But what you're actually saying in the song too is painting the picture of you being there. So that one definitely stood out to me because I was like, yeah, the sound is there as well, but he's specifically talking about being there, jumping and waving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And missing Carnival. There's a bittersweet tension to that song because you're missing Carnival because of course Carnival get canceled 2 years in a row, which has never ever happened.
Craziness.
Them guys had world wars and shit. And they still jump up.
Yo. That's how you know the pandemic is serious. Like a war couldn't stop it, but like a pandemic, things change.
Yeah,
things change.
It's a real thing.
Yeah, because that song hit me because it's funny. Literally, what you said. Like we haven't been to one of those in 2 years, at least in some parts of the world. I know some parts of the world that COVID's not really happening, but for us, we haven't seen that. So you know, what I'm saying, you're really painting that picture, and I visualized. I said, oh yeah, I remember what this looks like. It's been a while, but I remember.
Yeah, man. I finished the ice cream, dog.
Oh, you're serious? Wow, that's crazy. Okay, at the end, I'll tell you what you get for finishing the ice cream. But this is
ice cream. You're trying to kill me.
You know, you get your fish ice cream, you get more ice cream. Oh man. Now that's impressive. There's a theme on here where you talking about finding yourself and finding space for yourself and just kind of being comfortable with being who you are. And I think that, you know, we talked about it being a journey, especially for people coming from Caribbean backgrounds, Black men. And I think it's interesting that it's about the space to be yourself and it's not really focused on other people. Talk about, I guess, how you felt, you know, through this process, because, you know, the book coming out, which is very personal, this album is coming out, which has some personal themes on it as well. Now that you kind of think of yourself in that light of like, you know, this has to be space for me to be me and do me. Does it change the way you are for like a rollout or putting out a project? Like, are you looking at that differently now?
Yeah, 100. I mean, different, but the same. I think what's different is, I mean, I was always what they call in Trinidad, harden or own way. So in other words, you really couldn't tell me nothing. It would cost you something to try to tell me what to do. And that cost would be, I was good at making that cost so high that people would just let me do my thing. Like my Aunt Joan trying to get me to pick my hair to go to church. I was like, no. And she was like, well, don't you care? People are gonna look at you and think your hair is ugly. And I said, no, I don't care. And she was so flabbergasted that she just let me go how I wanted to go. And so that's me. And so for that reason, I've been defiant. There's a defiance about being radically me that I've always sort of fostered and nourished. And you know, it's cost me to do that because people want you to do what's expected until you do what's not expected and you succeed. If you don't succeed, then they say, you see, the boy, should I listen? You should have listened. But if you do, suddenly people go, oh, well, wow, you won't believe how many people have called me and said, oh, you know, lots of ex-girlfriends in this category. Oh, I feel like I never really knew you. I understand you so much now. And I was like, I don't need your support now, but that kid needed you back then and you didn't offer that. And so I'm like, move on, go away. No, I'm like,
for yourself.
I can afford to be gracious about it. But the point being is that what's changed? What's changed is that I think I've always cultivated trusting myself and self-belief and as sacred and being who you are as like the greatest thing you have to offer the world. And I think being recognized for it just makes me realize, oh, you know what, you were right, and you were right all along. You always knew it, and I never wanted the external, I always wanted the external validation, but I never needed it. And I think that's important because some people really need it. So that means they're gonna sacrifice all kinds of integrity to get it. I wanted it, but I didn't need it. So for me, I just knew, yes, I want it, but I want it on my own terms. And getting that makes me realize that, yo, you were actually right all along to go your own way and to choose your own path and to not follow whatever is up. So yeah, that's that extra confidence, that extra recognition is definitely gonna impact maybe not what I do, but the confidence that I do it with, which is going to make it more powerful. So I'm already starting to think about the new music. I've already got a children's book on the way. I've got a 2 children's book deal with Tundra. The book Saga Boy comes out in the US in September 19th. It's already gotten like MSNBC, people like Eddie Glaude Jr., who's like the dean of Harvard's African American Studies School. He's been showing up on TV with my book on his bookshelf behind him, like right over his shoulder, like placed. Time Magazine called us and wants to talk to my publicist. I don't know where that's going, but hopefully somewhere. And on the music side, it's just been a blossoming, because I felt like everyone prior to this was always trying to stick me in a category. But it didn't fit. So they were always like, what's this guy doing? Where does he fit? What genre is this? But now that you understand the journey and that I'm an artist, and now that I have legitimacy in the literature world, people are looking at me different and just more prone to accepting what I'm offering on its own terms, which again is what I always wanted. So getting that validation is just going to make me, well, the mango tree never say, we have mango last year, no mango fall here this year. The mango is like, that doesn't happen. This is mango season every year. So we already, the next crop of mango already coming. So that is what's up.
Well, I'm just happy for that, like that confidence that this comes with you doing things your own way, and you can say that I'm cool with doing things my own way and it works my own way. Because you had a good point. You said if it works and you're successful, you're a genius. If it's not successful, then no one rocks with you. And you had this bar in there that I thought was amazing. You talking about being yourself is the best thing you could offer the world. And a lot of times I feel like we don't realize that being yourself is the best thing you could offer yourself.
Yeah.
And so I think that's, I would love everyone to take that away from this conversation. If anything, that being yourself is the best thing you could offer yourself. Kanye had this quote, which I thought was crazy for Kanye to have this quote of all people, but they're asking him about Kim and his family and what's it like, all the cameras. And he's like, the worst thing that someone can be is not be allowed to be themselves. And even worse than that is not being yourself in front of millions of people.
Right.
And he's like, if someone doesn't think they can be themselves, that's the worst thing that can happen to them. And I feel like, that's the kind of that message that I want to make sure everyone gets, because it's as important as all hell. This is one of the questions we ask everyone on the show. And they say the top 5 people in your life help make you who you are. Now, your top 5 can be a 2 or it can be a 10. It doesn't have to be 5, but who are the people in your life that help you be you?
Yeah. I would say my Aunt Joan, who's the family matriarch. The woman speaks a dialect that you might recognize, but it's completely composed of hymns, the New Testament, and nutritional advice.
Sounds about right. Sounds about right.
Yeah. So I feel like I really having her in the world really is a line of connection back to my grandmother and to our people, and that's really important to me on an ancestral level. I think my producer Mike, who is also my friend, and we chop it up on so many things, and we're so symbiotic in terms of creative partners. And so I really, he's a blessed force in my life for sure. My homeboy Chachi, I met him, I write about this in a book. I met him back in 96. We were both at this fancy German model girls party. She liked to collect these broken artist types, and he was over there with some paintings and I was over there with some poems, and we saw each other across the room, and he rolled up on me and said, which is a line painters used to pick up people all the time. He says, dude, I have to fucking paint you. And we've been tight ever since. I gotta shout out my homie Dion Fitzgerald, who's Fitz Divine. Fitz like toured with me in Europe, tracked Dirty As, Strange Beautiful. He's a painter, like really beautiful painter. Loves to paint Black icons and Black symbology. Really powerful dude. But he's one of the first Black people that I saw where I was like, yo, like we were born the same week from one Caribbean island over from the other, but we met like 20 some years later in Canada. and him and I are, I feel like he was the first Black person that made me see that you could be Black but make your own choices artistically. You didn't have to follow a playbook. You could actually go on, and we celebrated that in each other. And my bestie Eva, who's actually in the city right now making a jazz album. And we were walking last night, and I was like, yo, I have only we've only hung out like 5 times, a half dozen times. We literally met on the internet and talk every day.
Wow.
6 years. She lives in Vancouver. I live here. 6 years.
It's great. I have a friend like that. She had a family friend that was dating my cousin, and they've since broken up, years gone by now. She lives in Ottawa this whole time. So we've probably again hung out maybe 6-7 times.
Yeah.
FaceTime all the time. So I totally feel you with that one.
Yeah, and I keep the circle small, and there's definitely like more people that are close to my heart, and a lot of creative people that have that beautiful sort of creative relationship exchange. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. I really thrive off of that, because I really recognize that as much as I talk about me being own way and paving my own way, really the strength and vision to do that came from people who recognized in me who I was and accepted me and made me, and by doing so gave me the green light to accept myself.
Exactly.
And my high school basketball coach and his wife, Coach Lily and Elaine Lily, they just been so cool, because my own parents is like, they're distant. Like, they were just, for me, never really been there. But so I've learned over the years to get it where you can. And Coach and Elaine, they've done the proud parent thing to me on this book stuff, like nobody's business. My barber Kevin, I used to play ball against him in Cambridge, and he ends up he golfs now, and he's on a golf course. Coach Lilly, avid golfer, he could have turned pro, but he's like a very practical conservative man, so he went to be a teacher instead, but loves to golf. So they run into each other, figure out who they are. And Mr. Lilly goes, oh, do you know Mike? You know Mike? Oh, yeah, you know Mike. Oh, you heard the book? You read the book? And all his boys are behind him and like, I read the book, man. I read the book. He's like, you got to read the book.
That's crazy.
I love that stuff, because you got context here. Is that I was the kid who played university ball, and after the game, all my teammates' parents would come out of the stands, and their cousins and sister, brother, and I would have nobody. Right. And so they've really been that for me. So I would say that's kind of like the upper echelon, but there's definitely more people that I stay super close to, because you can't have enough people that see you for you and accept you.
No, 100%. I'm just so happy to hear about, some people's great top fives, because the people getting to your top 5 can come from all kind of crazy places. It could be all kind of different things that get them in there, but you need them and they're important. So very, very happy to hear that. This next question, I also think you may have an interesting answer. I feel like this question got to turn into a spreadsheet at some point, because we're getting some different answers for this one. When people, celebrities, rich people get $100 million, what we've seen them do is buy exotic animals. I don't know why that is, but that seems to be the case. Mike Tyson with his tiger, Justin Bieber with his monkey, Michael Jackson with his monkey. So I'm interested to see $100 million. Is there an animal you have in mind that you would get?
Like to eat?
Which part of Trinidad you from?
yo, let me curry the rhinoceros, brethren. No, You know, Chinese, when they start drinking rum, they'll eat anything curried.
Yeah, curry with the roti, same ways.
Yeah. It's like, yeah. So wow, that's a question. I would say that I like snowy owls, like the white owls, the hunters. They're nocturnal, they're silent, they're self-sufficient. Because I'm not about having, like, some people like big animals that are bigger than them around them. I saw a dude today with a albino lion in his lap, and the thing was growling, like revving an engine of a truck.
That not
Yeah, and I was like, "Yo, you're food dread. You think you're playing with it? It's playing with you. Like, what is wrong with you?" Or even horses. I'm always like, horses are much bigger than me. I don't want to, like, befriend something that's like, it's like, at least if you befriend Shaq, you know that he's, well behaved and wealthy, but it's a horse. It can't speak English. It might stomp you out just to say it's hungry. I don't know.
Yeah, no, these big animals, I'm not with it. I have a friend who he wants to get a big dog one day. I'm like, yo, let me tell you right now, that's an animal. Don't get it twisted. Like, you're not safe like that. You can't go for these
Yeah.
big animals.
Plus, people that want big cats. It's like little cats are the most savage little things you ever seen when they're ready. You want a big one? The only reason you could tame a little cat is because you feed it. And if you don't feed it, it's good. But
that's it.
But if you are its food, you got a problem.
Yeah, that's why I like your owl one. I think the owls, like, my favorite answers for this question are the animals that are low maintenance, and it feels like an owl will be that. Again, you got to feed it, and these owls are.
No, you don't.
I guess it's not your pet. It's just an owl on your property.
No. It's an owl. Like, we're tight, but it's like we're tight out of a mutual respect. It's like owl is gonna fuck. Owl is gonna fuck with you because it likes the vibe. Maybe you got, you got a couple dead mice snacks, but when it want to eat, it's gonna, it's gonna go catch that neighborhood dog.
That neighborhood dog. Yo. Like, oh my god, that's why you need the owl for sure. Someone said an octopus once, like in a tank. I was like, yeah, that's cool. That could be some vibe, put that in a room with some music. That could be some vibe. You don't touch that.
Yeah, plus a good strategy though, because watch, if famine hits, you're eating good for a long time. That's fry octopus curry.
It's a pandemic. Yeah, curry it up with some rice and peas. Come on.
That person isn't thinking.
And someone else said they'd want a farm. They're like, I don't want anything in the house, but I wouldn't mind having some animals outside. I'm like, I appreciate that. That's respectful.
Yeah, well, that's the thing about the owl. It would be in the habitat. Like, I wouldn't be like, oh, let me put you in a cage. I know you're used to flying 50 kilometers a day, but let me put you in a cage, and that's really humane. And just because I like the way your feathers look, like, come on.
Yeah, exactly.
We shouldn't be owning animals. We really shouldn't. That's the point.
Yeah, and that's why I thought this question was so interesting, because I'm like, I feel like as a society, we let these celebrities get that stuff off. It's like, anyone who's been to the Caribbean has seen the way dogs are treated in the Caribbean compared to how dogs are treated in Canada. It's two very different ball games. And
Brethren, if you go out in the prairies, like, they treat dogs the same way they do in the Caribbean. It's like,
I love that.
It's because it's farm, right? So it's like, they're not in the house, they're outside, and they got jobs and shit.
That's what it is. And it's like, the having animals thing, I think, is something that's like, it's a luxury that we're just so used to, and the more money people get, the more they take it so far. This is the last one. Now, we do a segment on the show called Wednesday Wisdom, hosted by our boy Brandon Gibbs at Build Your Greatness, and it's a new quote or statement or just a motivational kind of sentence you keep in your head to keep you going. Do you have something like that for you? Anything that kind of keeps you going, that you remind yourself of? Just something, to keep you going during the week.
Wow. Yeah, I feel like the most inspiring thing I think about, and I might not think of the slogan, but it encapsulated a feeling. And it's about being radically me. And I feel like every morning I get up, I look myself in the mirror, I might meditate, I might go for a run. I remind myself to celebrate myself. And I feel like that's really important, especially as Black people in the world. So often, it can be difficult, right? Because you're not celebrated, you're not centered, you're not catered to. If anything, you're hunted down and disparaged and lied on. So for me, it's really crucial to always remember to celebrate myself, because every single day. And I guess, oh well, you know what? I'll say it like this, because my homeboy Mike Smith dropped it on me, and I modified it. But I always think about the saying, eating good is the best revenge. I said, Mike, what do you mean eating good is the best revenge? Like, revenge for what? He said, for everything. And he got a big smile on his face. And I'm like, okay. And when I think about it, it's like, yeah, you know what? When you think about indigenous people in this country and everything they tried to do to wipe them out, and we bore witness to recently this summer, and they're still here. And same with Black people, we still here. So if you wake up in the morning and you got food to eat, and you got a roof, and you get to do what you want to do, you eating good. If you got food in your fridge and the food is nice and you're cooking up your cook-up, you're eating good. If you can walk out on the street and hold your head up and be comfortable in your skin, you're eating good, And if you got kids and you can tell them the stories of your people and where they came from and connect them to those roots where they came from, you're eating good. And so I'll offer that one up to you. Eating good is the best revenge.
I like that a lot. Eating good is the best revenge, and saying it's the best revenge for everything, I think is even better. So I like that one a lot. Eating good is the best revenge. I can guarantee that no one will come on here and say that again unless they're quoting you or your friend. That's definitely a one of one right there. I want to thank everyone for making it to the end of this podcast. If you're listening to In the Cut for the first time, go ahead and subscribe to us. Yes. Subscribe to us. Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Leave us a rating and a review. 5 stars, not a single star less. And of course, by the time this is out, Saga King will be out. So please go ahead and stream that. We talked about basically almost every song from the project. So you got the ins and outs from us, but please go and listen to that on all your streaming platforms. Subscribe to us on YouTube as well. The Cool Table Live on YouTube. We got new episodes coming for you every single Friday. John, let everyone know what they can kind of check for you. Where do you want them to follow you? Where is a place where they can kind of support what you're doing?
Straight up, I'm deep in the cut at St. Clair West and Bathurst. There's a little kitty corner to the train station. Y'all could holler at me there. I got them ones, I got them oops, I got the Uzis and the pop-pops. No, I'm playing. You were serious too. I had you.
For a second, when you said the corner, I said, wait.
It's like where you want them to follow me. Y'all can meet me there and follow me. I got you. Some Pied Piper shit.
Oh my God.
No, I mean, I'm on all the things, the Insta ting, the Face ting, the Twitter ting, all them ting, the TikTok ting, the Snapchat ting, all of the Snap ting, all of that. So yeah, it's John Orpheus, man. JOHNORPHEUS on all of those things. JohnOrpheus.com if you're confused. The book is out under my birth name, Antonio Michael Downing, on Penguin Random House. I'm up for some awards and stuff. So if anyone listening happens to be on the committee for any of the awards I'm up for, you know what it is. Bathurst and St. Clair West. Linkmans.
If you don't vote for John after this interview, then you're a super fraud. So if you're on any of those committees, you know where your vote has to go. Honestly, man, it's been a pleasure. This is probably one of the longest interviews we've done, maybe in the history of this podcast, and I enjoyed every single minute of it. For anyone who's listening and watching us on YouTube, until next time, know yourself, know your worth.
Yes, Jenna.